Okay, so here's the thing. I was gonna record this yesterday, and I kind of did, but it sucked. I did not have any time to do it. And I kind of don't have any time to do it right now, because I'm kind of going to a friend's birthday party this evening in an hour. But I also have to record this kind of now. So, we're gonna compromise. I'm gonna get ready and talk about this shit at the same time. Talent. I don't even know what I'm gonna wear. And clown socks to bring it all home. The topic of discussion today is gonna be my shut up topic, my third webcomic series, which was very different from all of my other webcomic series in several regards. It still had that same kind of mix of comedy and drama that has sort of become my staple in writing, but this story was different, not only because it was sci-fi, but also because it was the only one of my comics that I actually crowdfunded. This wasn't conceptualized to be a webcomic series, it was conceptualized as a graphic novel, and that's what it was. Okay, so in case you guys thought I was bullshitting by I don't have any time, I'm about to fucking shave my face while doing this. So the basic story is Renegades centers on a group of, renegades, outlaws who've been wrongfully accused of treason against a bureaucratic government that is sort of like a galaxy-wide government. And the purpose of the first book was to sort of establish the characters and establish this central conflict. Now, I took most of my inspiration... Oh, this is so weird. I'm looking at the screen and it has a delay. So this is huh? And the screen goes a second later This might be a terrible idea. So the major inspiration obviously comes from stories like Star Wars, but also from Farscape, Battlestar Galactica, and stuff like that. I kind of wanted to do a sort of cartoony sci-fi story, but also wanted to have the possibility that it could be taken seriously. Taking inspiration from Farscape, there is one human character in the first book, at least. The human character's name is Aaron Taylor, partly named after my brother, Aaron. Go figure. He's the sort of thrill-seeking engineer who can pretty much fix and build anything he needs. Then we have Ferali, who used to be the bodyguard of a delegate on her planet. But when she failed to protect this delegate, who was also her sister, she went into a self-imposed exile. I did not think this through. Fuck! Where the fuck was I? Characters? Then we have a second female lead called Lem. Now, I had definitely noticed my not so excellent female writing of past series, although Black Rock Park was definitely a vast improvement of that. But I wanted Renegades to be way better than that. So, Lem is all of them they're all characters with dark pasts whom they are trying to escape. That's sort of kind of like the gimmick here. They're all on the run from something they did or something that happened to them. Lem is a very classy chick, very elegant, but she has a monster living inside of her, and if she doesn't exercise complete control and loses control, that monster will just run rampant and kill anyone. So even though she herself is a good person, the monster has, through her, killed hundreds. Then we have Vic, or Vikernim, who is a yellow space monkey. Now, admittedly, he's just there just to be a comic relief, but I intended on building him up as a better character. But he was still kind of just there as a comic relief. You know, he was just there for the lulz. And finally, the sort of de facto leader of the group was Garrett Kubats, aka the Pale Rider. You know, he's actually an old character that I created a long time ago, sort of through one of Dirge and Ed's past reincarnations, or incarnations. And I gave him a mysterious past like everybody else, but he was also somehow kind of became really badass. So the the readers really fucking loved him. I'll come back to that in a minute. And finally, there's a character that sadly did not show up that much in the first book, but she did appear a lot more in the second book, or what I made of the second book, and she was meant to be a reoccurring, almost like the sixth member of the Renegades, in a way, although she is an antagonist throughout. And her name is Annalay, and she's also a very old character. But she is an agent for the administration, the bureaucratic government that the Renegades are on the run from. And she has been tasked with finding the Renegades and bringing them, dead or alive. Now, she's doing this to reclaim her family's honor, her family's lost honor. And she was sort of my attempt to make a sympathetic villain, somebody whose motivations you could understand, but her tenacity and relentlessness in thwarting whatever plans the Renegades have was supposed to annoy you. Like I said, she only appears for like one page in the first book, but she appears in like a major fight sequence in the second book. So I mentioned earlier, this was the only comic that I crowdfunded. And the reason for that is because work on Renegades initially started back in 2013. In 2012 and early 2013, I basically freelanced, but in 2013, that shit sort of dried up. There's not a lot to do, and I also was not very diligent in finding work. I could have been better. So I basically started working at the post office, delivering out mail, but I wanted to work on Renegades. I was also starting work on, I was still working on Another Life is Strange verse at that time. I hadn't started working on Black Rock Park. But I knew I wanted to work on it. So, but I couldn't work full time on it, I thought. So my plan was basically to work part-time at the post office and crowdfund the project to sort of help me work on it on the side. So I started the crowdfunding project through an Icelandic... Oh, I am bleeding. Yeah, I probably should be doing this in the bathroom. Through an Icelandic crowdfunding site called Carolina Fund. Now, Carolina Fund had specialists that told me what was the best way to do these sorts of campaigns, and one of those things I had to do was basically to basically release content every single day, to have everything really well planned out, because it was an all or nothing kind of campaign. Either I hit the goal and got all the money, or I didn't hit the goal and got none of it. So stakes were high. And I enlisted help from my family. They were absolutely amazing in both helping me promote it and also lending some of their own hard-earned cash to support me. And ultimately the campaign was a success. I remember the day when it was a success, when I found out, because it was literally the last day of the campaign. I remember my mom calling me and just telling me, you have the money. And I was helping a friend move at the time. And I just remember this weight of relief just lifted off of me. Just like, oh my God, thank you. Fuck. So I went to work on the comic. But I think it was somewhere around, I don't know, I'm guessing somewhere around $5,000 or something like that. Ultimately, just got a message. Ultimately, I ran out of funds. And I absolutely hated working at the post office because you're working in Icelandic conditions and there's just like rain or sleet or whatever and you just have to go do it. And I kind of hated it, so I stopped working at the post office, got a job at a British import company called Brammer. They did really good by me. But for basically 2015, I was working on Blackrock Park and Renegades with a full-time job. And I finally finished Renegades, the first book of Renegades. Oh, Jesus Christ. There's like blood all over this shit. I finally finished Renegades in December of 2015, and at that point I was basically cranking out a page a day, and it was just fucking killing me because it takes so long to work on comics. I'm gonna wash my face real quick. I'll be right back. Okay. Where was I? Right. So basically, I finished the book in December of 2015. And motherfucker. And I already had 4 other books planned, but I decided to take a year off, and I wasn't even sure if I wanted to continue it in that manner because just drawing comics just fucking takes so long. But eventually I was just like, you know what, let's have that second child. And in January of 2017 I decided to start working on that second book. I didn't crowdfund it or anything, but I did work on it at the same time as the final season of Blackrock Park, and also Dirge and Ed, which I haven't really talked about here. Hello, Fly. I finished the prologue chapter, and chapter 1 and chapter 2, and it was really fun to work on that book because at that point I had already set up a story, so I knew who the characters were, what the stakes were, and what the conflict was. So I didn't really have to set any of that up. So I could just like play around with the characters' personality and how they worked together or didn't work together. And it was just like so much fun. But by the time I finished Blackrock Park and Dirge and Ed, I just kind of stopped working on Renegades. I tried a little bit by the time I got here. I did like a couple of pages, finished chapter 2, but then I was just spent. I don't have time to work on comics anymore, and I kind of burned out. Like working on 3 series at the same time. No thanks. I gotta put on clothes. I gotta get out of here in 10 minutes. What? You really think I was gonna like strip for you? No. I don't know you guys well enough yet. Maybe later. That's all you get, okay? Don't ask for more. So I always kind of felt bad about bailing on this series because I really love the characters and I love the story, and it just feels like an unfinished story, and I fucking hate that. But I also can't bring myself up to just like working on it as a comic again. But I've been toying around with the idea of turning it into sort of like a web novel, because like actually writing it, that takes no time. It's the illustration part that's just like a small scene. A character stands up, gets themselves a drink, and then comes back and sits down. That's like a whole page. That's fucking 5 hours of work. And I consider myself to be a fast worker when it comes to illustrations. So you guys let me know. Would that be something that you guys would be interested in? Because it's a fucking fun story. It has fucking comedy, drama, excitement. Like the majority of the first book is just like some of them constantly trying to run away from one monster, and every single time they think they've gotten rid of it, the monster shows up again. They're like, fuck! The hell, man? What is up with this monster? I really enjoyed working on this series. And the fans were also, much like with Black Rock Park, the fans were just such a detrimental part and keeping me at it. Just like pushing me to finish the thing, because good God, like so many times where I just wanted to quit. But that was the first series where I actually got fan art, and some of my best fan art came from that series. Like some of them I just looked at and I was like, oh my God, this is actually better than anything that I can draw. Can I hire you for free? But that's it, guys. I don't know if this is going to be a long episode or not. I honestly can't tell, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys got intrigued by Renegades. And I will see you again with my fourth and final webcomic series with Dirge and Ed. Remember when I said I kind of like brought them back? Yeah, I did that in many different ways. As a matter of fact, Black Rock Park was a reincarnation of Another Life in Strangeverse, and Renegades is also technically the reincarnation that takes place after that. So it's all kind of connected. But I digress. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed watching me fucking massacre my face. It's better now, but yeah. Shit was cut. Some snitches got stitches. Now if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go and celebrate a friend's birthday.